Hello everybody, it's Pat from Pat's Path Predictor, and this video isn't going to be one of my normal videos. This video is going to be basically talking about a personal experience I had, because 9 years ago today, I was caught in a tornado. I was literally inside of a tornado, not just a regular like EF1 stovepipe. I was inside of a wedge tornado, and I want to talk to you guys about that because it's such a big event for me that it's kind of the thing that made me into why I do what I do on YouTube, and kind of why I'm so enticed into weather. So I wanted to share that experience with you guys, give you my 2 cents and my take on this, because this thing was such a crazy experience. I also want to show you the science behind this as well, because I want to explain everything. I want to give you all the context, give you all the juicy details about what happened. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So basically, it was on May 31st, 2013. Started as any other day in where I'm at. So just to explain it quickly, when this all happened, I was 9 years old when this happened, and I would go to summer camp, and it was a really nice day. It was really hot, but it was a really nice day. And I remember after we were done, I would go home, I would play the Wii for a couple of hours, and after that, we decided, me and my mom and my stepdad, we all decided to go out and get some fit dinner. We get some ice cream right after that, and we went to get ice cream. It was around 6:30 at night, and basically, the sky looked really good. It looked really beautiful. Although there was it was kind of partly cloudy and all that. It was a partly cloudy day and all that, but it was nevertheless it was still a pretty day. And after we were there for a little bit, we decided to go ahead and get some tennis stuff, because I wanted to play tennis and everything. So we decided to do that, and we went to a sporting goods store, and basically, as we were at the sporting goods store and everything, there was a line of severe thunderstorms that were starting to move through the area where I'm at. So let's go ahead, and I actually want to switch up and talk about the science behind this now, because I want to explain everything. So this is what the SPC had for May 31st, 2013. So you can see there was a slight risk across this whole area right here. The moderate risk was in Oklahoma and parts of Missouri. And the interesting thing I need to say is that the same day that this happened to me was the same day that the largest tornado in the world, the El Reno tornado in 2013, struck in Oklahoma. It was literally 2.5 hour, 3 hour difference. And this is basically what the tornado graphic was that day across parts of Oklahoma and Missouri. Right here, 15%, 10%. The wind threat was actually probably the lowest threat. It was at 30%, but the hail threat, and especially in Oklahoma, the hail threat was at 60%, which you don't see that every day. This is like 2011 stuff you see. So with the context aside, and basically explaining the setup of all this, let's go ahead and go back to my personal experience, because it's around 8 o'clock now, and as we were checking out and getting all our stuff, there were a couple of TVs plastered by the checkouts that we could watch, and it was tuned to the local news, and there was a tornado watch that was going on across our area, and there was a line of severe thunderstorms, potentially tornadic, that was not too far away from us. I'd say it was about, we thought it was about maybe like an hour or so away. So we got all our stuff, we quickly headed into our car, and we started driving back. And the whole time, it's very, at first, it's not really that ominous. It's like some skies do get a little cloudy and all that. They get cloudier. And then as we're driving, first, at one point, I do notice that there was I saw a lightning bolt. And not just your white light. I saw literally a lightning bolt. And I thought it was pretty cool. It's I was telling my parents, hey, there's a lightning bolt right there. And they're like, oh, that's cool. And we did that. And that was basically a good thing to talk about. And we did for a couple minutes. And then we got into another interstate, and we started driving back, and we weren't just driving back. We were driving really fast because these storms were moving closer and closer towards us, and my parents just hit the gas pedal, and we were going like really fast. I don't know how fast we're going. I think we were going around 90 miles per hour at that point, and we were just trying to beat the storms because we knew they were coming and we knew they were strong. And basically, as we go on, we were driving through, and then there's this interchange right here from the interstate we're on to another interstate, which is going east. We're going north, and we just missed the interchange. We were heading north, and we basically passed that exit, and literally like 15 seconds later, tornado emergency for the town I'm in. And at that point, that's when everything changed from just us trying to get home very fast into this rapidly escalating situation where just we had no idea where this tornado was. And to give you an understanding of this tornado, I want to explain it a little bit. This tornado was a touchdown. It was a little while ago. However, it was starting to strengthen at a rather alarming pace. It was around EF1, and then as we are just past that interchange, it just rapidly intensified and started to become this wedge tornado. And so I started to notice a few things that were not what was going to really happening. To my left, as we were crossing that interchange, there was like this little area, like these gas stations and all that. The lights just went off like that, like just all at once. And a couple of them came back on, but they just all went out. And I was like, that's interesting. But then after that, we head to one of these warehouses. We're driving past one of these warehouses, and one by one, each light is going out. Pow, 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 pow. And as we're passing this warehouse, it's hard to see because it's like, at this point, it's around 8:45 in the evening, and it's getting dark. And like we see this lightning strike occur, and we see the tornado, and this tornado wasn't that wide at first, but then the next lightning struck. This thing just looked much larger, and that's when we saw the tornado, and that's when it really started to go from bad to worse, because it was pretty much like our exit was where this tornado was kind of parallel to. And what I mean by that is that this tornado is moving right here. We are moving at this, and we were able to get off on our exit just before the tornado hit, and next thing you know, we're stopped. And as soon as we stopped, that's when I realized how bad the situation was. As soon as we started slowing down on that exit, that's when I started to panic, because I had no idea what was going on at that point until then. And that's when I started to panic, because just I didn't know what was going on. And we basically, at that point, we stopped, we pulled over, and we put the car in park. And at that point, this tornado, it's coming right at us. And my mom tells me to get on the floorboards, and I do that. She has her body, she covers me. She's right on top. And she then calls my grandma, and she basically starts crying, apologizing for every bad thing she did. And my grandma was screaming at her, "Get in a ditch, get in a ditch, get in a ditch," because if you're in a tornado, you need to be in at the lowest level possible, lowest ground possible. But the thing is, how do you do that when you're already inside of the tornado? Yes, at this point, the tornado is like, we are literally right inside of this wedge tornado, and this wedge tornado, it wasn't particularly large. It was about 150 yards wide, and just for those of you who are wondering, how is a 150-yard wide tornado a wedge tornado? The cloud shelf was so low to the ground that it basically, the width of it was larger than its height. So I want everyone to understand that debris was all over the place. Debris was starting to hit our car, and all we could do was just lay in there and pray and just get as low as we could. And this tornado, like, I felt like in that moment that the tornado just was going and then it just stopped over us. That's how real it was. Like, I felt like it just stopped right over us because it never ended. That's how it felt. But in reality, this whole thing lasted about 30 seconds. It felt like an eternity. It usually does when in tornadoes, events like these. And I know this firsthand. And what really happened, though, was that right as we were parked, there was an overpass right behind us. And the overpass ended up cutting the tornado. The tornado ended up lifting for a split second, and it ended up touching down right in front of us. And if that tornado had touched down probably like 30 feet even back, it's probably the outcome would have probably been a lot different. But just say how lucky I was an understatement. I had probably the luck of the century with this thing going on. And we were there for probably another minute or so. And then my stepdad's on the wheel, and we start driving back to our home. And to understand this quickly, like, our home is basically on the same road as the road we get off on for the exit, but it just changes names and all that. But anyway, that's irrelevant to the story. So we're driving slower than we were, and after about 2 or 3 miles, that's when we get to our neighborhood. And next thing you know, we see trees are just falling all over the place. We see trees on the roads blocking our path. We're not sure how to get home. We get onto the next street, same situation. Trees are all over the roads. And then we go to the next one, and the tree, trees aren't on the road right in front of us. It takes about a block, and then we have to go back. And then at this point where we turn and there's just trees blocking the road, we had to literally drive through people's yards to get home and get home safely. And by some miracle, we were able to do that. And as soon as we went to the basement, and yeah, that was pretty crazy situation that happened. So to understand where this tornado actually went, I looked this up. I studied this tornado about 4 years later, back in 2017. This happened in 2013, May 31st, 2013. And I figured out that this tornado, it started to go through our neighborhood, and then it turned. It turned from an eastward direction into more of a northeast or even north-northeast direction, and it missed our house by probably a couple of blocks. That's how close it was to hitting our house. In this tornado in particular, it was a EF3 tornado. It's a high-end EF3 tornado. The winds were at 160 miles per hour. To put that in perspective, that is literally a Category 5 hurricane in a 150-yard area. So that's the situation we had right there. And trees were blocking our street. It was absolute hell. And my stepdad, after this whole tornado passed, he grabbed his chainsaw and literally started cutting the trees down and everything to get emergency vehicles to where they needed to go, because it was such a crazy experience. And man, it was terrifying, and I didn't really sleep well that night. I didn't go to bed until about 11:30 because we need to figure out what we need to do. And another thing is that we lost power. We lost power for 2.5 days, and it eventually came back on. This happened on a Friday night. The power didn't come on until around Sunday. So, yeah, it was a very crazy experience, and the aftermath was pretty crazy because, like, one of my neighbors' houses was just surrounded in debris. Like, a bunch of tree limbs came out and was blocking several of their doors, and they got hit in the back of their house. And another neighbor had literally had a tree fall and slice their house in half. So that was a pretty crazy experience. But I look back at it now, and the reason I'm telling you this story is because May 31st, 2013, that tornado that hit, that's what got me into weather, and it's very unconventional, and that's why I got into it, because after the trauma and after the shock of this, this took like 2 years for me to fully recover from. But after it was over, like even in those 2 years, I started learning about this weather to figure out what is this, and now it really May 31st, 2013 really set the scene, and it set the foundation to basically where I am now, and that's the reason I actually got into weather. Right there, is from nearly dying in a tornado. And yeah, I was like, when you talk to tornado survivors, it's like I completely understand. I completely understand when they talk about their experience, because I've been through that before, and I've been through that in a car. So that being said, I want to make this video telling you about the story. So yeah, I know it's a different video than I usually do, I know, but I want people to understand why I take this so seriously, because I've been through it before. So, that being said, stay safe.